This is my fault because for the last 27 years, I've been treating you all like a family. You'll allow dysfunctional people. You don't have a choice. If you're keeping B and C players on the team, the A players are going to leave. We need to work as a team. And I think I really saw the sparkle in the eyes of the A players because now they could see that people were going to be held accountable for their actions. So the biggest mistake owners make when dealing with their staff is treating them like family instead of like a team. And let me tell you why this is a problem. Because in a family, you'll allow dysfunctional people. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You got to leave them there in your family. The first thing an owner needs to do is actually get that together, because where that's really going to hurt you is when you've got A players who are really putting in the effort. Studies actually even show that one A player is as good as 10 C players. You need to run your office or your business like a team, assign roles, but have everybody have each other's back. I think I went through your typical cycle that an owner will go through when they decide to get serious about the culture in their office. It can take up to 2 years for the owner to actually get the mindset to start taking control of the office. You have to get out of your head and keep giving people chances that don't need chances. You have to get out of that family psychology, and it can be pretty difficult. So let me tell you, when you see a business struggling, all you got to do is look at the psychology of the owner, and that will tell you what's going on with the business. You start there with the owner, and then it has to go all the way down. So I actually brought in Tony Robbins' group to actually have 2 on-site visits. It took me 2 years, but I started actually taking control of my office, and 2 things happened. Number 1, I became the alpha of my office. Now, that's not a toxic masculine alpha. That was the alpha where I took control. I was actually taking a look at what was going on. I was setting the standards. So I became the alpha. The second thing is I became the minister of the culture. If you mess with my culture, you're gonna see a side of me that you're not gonna like. So one of the things that I learned when I had to reorganize my office is that I had to set up systems that could help me develop other leaders in my office. And so the first thing that we had to do was actually set up core values. So the core values include peak state, coming in high energy level, leaving your problems at home. When you see a problem, own the problem and do it. Even if it's not in your job description, take care of the client and everything else will take care of itself. So my concept of leadership comes from Jocko Willenick, who's a Navy SEAL, and he actually has a company that teaches leadership. And so his idea is that you've got to train leaders. He was up in the ivory tower making decisions, but he let the commanders on the battlefield actually make the decisions because they were actually on the battlefield. And so he ended up developing leaders. And that's what I try to do here, is I try to delegate simple decisions, common decisions to all my employees. So if I have 20 employees, I've got 20 leaders. Let's say they're making 3 decisions a day. That's 60 decisions that are moving our practice forward every day. I don't want to be the bottleneck. My time should be in the operating room. My time should be seeing clients, not answering questions about ordering toilet paper or something silly like that in my office. It needs to be on stuff that really helps the office move forward. So the only way to do that is to delegate. So micromanagement is just the killer. And if you're a business owner and you're hearing this and you're micromanaging, you're hurting your business. The next thing that's really important is to make sure that you have a vision and your goals are so high that it can actually encompass all the goals of your employees. That's the way you're going to try to retain your A players. So if you make this great vision, you talk to them, you try to get their vision on board with your vision, and you can demonstrate that if they stay with your business, they're going to benefit from it moving forward. That's how you're going to be able to retain some of your best employees. So you got to do everything in your power as the owner to establish good culture, establish leadership, have a vision, have high goals so that your employees' goals can be contained within the goals of the business. Again, when the business is failing, the accountability goes straight to the owner, and you've got to voice that and own it, okay? But then you got to take it down to the individual leaders and to every position And you got to define what people are accountable for when they come in. And that's probably the biggest mistake that owners make when they bring someone in. They just bring someone in and say, okay, just go ahead and do that. And, they don't actually set any sort of parameters or any sort of numbers. Like, for example, in the first month, this is what I'd like you to do. By the second month, you should be here. By the third month, you should be here. And maybe even actually tie their salary to that. We're going to start you here. We're going to get you to this salary, but the first month you got to show me this. Second month you got to show me that. Third month you got to show me this. So actually putting the numbers, assigning the numbers, but first you taking account. Like, I have to take accountability when things are messing up. Once I took accountability and raised the standards, and there were a few people that left, there definitely was a different energy in the office. Things seemed to flow a whole lot better. I could just see it in everybody's face. And then everybody actually started working together a lot more. And I think it even reflected in our clients' experience, because I started getting a lot of compliments about my staff, which I didn't necessarily always get. And so I think when you make these moves, you're going to see a lot of positive outcomes from your staff, from your clients, and you're going to be a little bit more relaxed because things seem to be flowing a little bit better. But if you do things properly and just kind of work and just a 1% improvement every day, you're going to get there. Just have faith in the process and keep going with the process, and eventually it'll be inevitable.